Good morning, everybody. Welcome you to the Gennex Colloquium 2022. We thank God for the wonderful and stellar weather He has provided for us today. So we would want to proceed by introduce the Master of Ceremony for today's occasion. Is none other than Mr. Ayobami Adedini. Ayobami has been active as an energy journalist. He founded the Energy Intelligence with reports, regularly on trends and events within the industry. So there is no other person that we feel could be active here to anchor the event other than him. So Ayobami, you're welcome. Once again, a round of applause for him. So you take it from here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yemi. I think I should pay you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ayobami Adedini, like you rightly said. I'm happy to be the anchor for today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next 6 hours or less, we're going to be discussing the pathways to a sustainable energy future in Africa. And we have some expert discussants here who are going to be shedding light on, first, the challenges and also some of the solutions they are also preferring. But before we go into that, I'd like to recognize some guests and some members of the audience. First, I'd like to introduce the MD and CEO of Gennex Technologies, Mr. Patrick Ilo. Please jam your hands for him. You're welcome, sir. And also, I'd like to introduce the Executive Director, Admin at Gennex Technologies, Mrs. Toyin Ilo. Sitting next to her, we have the Executive Director in charge of Technical, Mr. Tunji Tayo. And also we have representatives from Canada, from Trojan Battery, Mr. Gerrit Bernard, and Mr. Frederick. Am I correct? Thank you so much. I'd like to please, once again, to call on Mrs. Toyin Ilo to come and give us a welcome address.
Good morning, everybody. Permit me to run through these protocols. His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister of Power, Honorable Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Lagos State, Director Funds, Rural Electrification Agency, Director General, Standards Organization of Nigeria, Director General, National Electricity Regulatory Commission, President, Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, MD, Gennex Technologies, Executive Director, Gennex Technologies Technical, our partners, Canadian Solar, Trojan, and SolarWorks, Gennex distributors and dealers, Gennex Academy alumni, the panelists, online participants, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to Gennex Technologies Colloquium 2022. Founded 6 years ago with the vision of revolutionizing the off-grid solar and renewable energy space in Nigeria, Gennex Technologies has remained true to this vision. Through our innovative solutions, we have helped many companies and individuals across Nigeria make a seamless transition to clean, renewable energy. Our product categories are top of the range in the industry, and by deploying our expert and experienced personnel to cutting-edge projects, as solar installation systems are cost-effective and very durable. This is the story of Gennex, a company founded with a global vision to change the renewable energy industry with innovative products and services. However, Gennex Technologies is part of an industry, a sector, and an ecosystem. The renewable energy sector has made tremendous progress over the last several years, from opening up of the sector to foreign direct investment, standardization of inputs to key policy trusts designed to galvanize investment in the sector and ensure smooth transition to clean energy. Despite these giant strides, challenges still abound. One of the major challenges confronting our sector is how to properly size and design solar solutions to make them more cost-effective and at the same time durable. At Gennex, we have blazed the trail by coming up with innovative approaches to tackling this problem. But the situation in the entire industry is not helped by the proliferation of inexperienced and unqualified solar installers who advise commercial, industrial, and even residential customers on solution design and sizing and choice of inputs. Secondly, the industry is still grappling with the challenge of substandard inputs and components, which has the capacity to erode the confidence of customers in their journey to transition to renewable energy. The final challenge the industry is grappling with is how to ensure that commercial and industrial customers, as well as other end users, have access to innovative financial packages to assist them in the uptake of solar solutions. These issues are central to the development of the entire renewable energy in Nigeria, and as a leading player and thought leader in the industry, we strongly believe our role in the industry is to provoke discussions on these challenges and highlight solutions. This is why the Gennex Colloquium 2022 comes in. This event was put together to bring all of us, industry leaders and experts, policy actors, leading energy companies, financial institutions, civil society, as well as end users into the same room to discuss these challenges confronting the sector. Our expectation is that by bringing the entire ecosystem together to highlight and distill these issues and solutions, we will have workable plans of action going forward. Through this colloquium, we are also very optimistic that policy actors will gain critical insights and agenda that will galvanize the development of the entire renewable energy industry. On this note, I would like to thank specially the management and the Gennex team for putting up this event. Once again, we thank you for participating in this epochal event. Thank you and welcome.
You can do better than that, please, again. Thank you so much, Mrs. Ilo, for that beautiful welcome address. So without wasting too much of our time, I'd like to invite Mr. Jared Bernard from Trojan Battery. He's going to be speaking on quality energy storage and efficiency for the African market. So Mr. Trojan, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this exceptional event organized by Gennex Technologies. We're very glad to be with you, and we're looking forward to share a couple of slides with you just about Trojan Battery Company and what we do in the solar market specifically. All right, there we go. Well, as explained, my name is Gerrit Barnard. I am the regional sales manager for Trojan Battery Company, and I look after the African continent for them. So today we're going to run through just a little bit about the company, and then we're going to look at challenges that we face in solar applications, specifically with energy storage. Next slide. So if we look at it, just a little bit of a business update from our side. Trojan Battery Company and C&D Technologies is now under one roof, so it's one battery company. So basically it's two leading battery manufacturers with legendary technical abilities and excellent brand names that's combined together with a long history of market leadership. And this exciting partnership creates one of the largest battery storage companies in North America. Next slide. If we look at Trojan by the numbers, it's the world's largest deep cycle battery manufacturer. We produce about 6 million batteries a year, just over 6 million units. Our revenue is $500 million in global sales. We have more than 1,000 employees globally, and we've been in business for more than 96 years. C&D, who's our sister company, has been in business for 114 years as well. We distributed in more than 121 countries across the world, and these are some of our operations in North America. For example, in Santa Fe Springs in Los Angeles, where our headquarters are, we produce all our flooded batteries. We also have facilities on the West Coast, which is in Georgia, so that is Sandersville and Lithonia specifically. We also have other factories across the world. For example, in Reynosa, we've got an AGM facility, and then we also have facilities in China that produces the UPS batteries. Okay, so they're using a PDF, so it doesn't show that nice, but our global positioning is quite big. We are distributed in 121 countries across the world, where we have master distributors or dealers that have stock of our product portfolio and actively sell it into the market. Our headquarters is obviously in Los Angeles, and then we got manufacturing facilities on the East Coast and the West Coast. And then also in China, we have a remote office that looks after that market. And then we have the Europe, Middle East, and Africa office based in the UK, where we run the Europe, Middle East, and Africa areas. So if you look at our end markets as a company, we very much focus. Trojan batteries are designed to meet complex energy storage requirements for numerous industrial applications. So we start in grid storage, which is our stationary part, grid storage or backup power, renewable energy. Then we move over to marine recreational vehicles, floor cleaning machines, oil and gas industry, mobile elevated work platforms, and then obviously fleet golf is where Trojan comes from. We produced the first golf cart battery in the 1930s already. And then obviously utility electric vehicles is part of our scope of supply as well. If we look at our revenue diversification, so if you look at the application mix specifically, on the left-hand side, you'll see fleet golf is 29% of our revenue. Utility and electric vehicles is about 20%. Renewable energy and backup power equates to 19%, and then so on as you carry down. If we look at applications by itself, we classify stationary as obviously stationary applications, so solar, UPSs, telecoms, these type of industries. And then motive applications would be mobile elevated work platforms, golf carts, electric vehicles. So 80% of our revenue comes from the motive market, and then 20% of that from the stationary market. The geographic revenue mix basically means domestic in the USA encounters for 65% of our revenue, comes from the USA specifically, and then internationally is about 35%. And you can see EMEA is one of the bigger regions in that market specifically. And in customer channels, obviously we deal directly with OEM companies where we supply the batteries for their machinery, new machinery across the world. But most of our business comes from the aftermarket. So aftermarket meaning we deal through distribution partners or dealers in country that go after business for the company. These are just some of the representatives on the OEM side that we represent across the world. So obviously everybody knows Yamaha, Club Car, which is the major golf brand, Skyjack, who's one of the biggest producers of mobile elevated work platforms. These are just some of the companies that we deal with to make sure that their products come out with our units and that we create a market in various countries so there's an aftermarket supply. There we go. If we look at some of the rewards, basically and recognitions that Trojan has earned already, in 2012, the Intersona finalist for Spice Village Resort, which is a project that was done in India. In 2013, we were also an application for Solar Project of the Year, which was a solar streetlight project in Dubai, or in the UAE. And then in 2013, we were Intersona finalists for a resort that we did in India. Also in 2020, we were Intersolar finalist for a microgrid that we did in Colombia. So as you can see, we obviously put a lot of emphasis into solar applications as well. So that is basically the company in a nutshell. So let's go into Trojan's features for specifically for solar applications. So the challenges that we face in storage applications, or if we can call it deep cycle applications, is obviously longevity is key. Grid corrosion is a problem, so the battery grid corrosion, sustainable for performance. Partial state of charge conditions is also something that affects the solar system. Harsh environmental conditions, and then obviously conductivity as well. So if we look at the problem and we describe the problem for you specifically, lead acid batteries need a full recharge after every discharge in order to give you optimal cycle life. Now, some cycling applications only partially charge the batteries, which is known as partial state of charge cycling. So what happens in these conditions is PSOC cycling is a particular problem in renewable energy applications. So cycling is harmful, or PSOC cycling is harmful to the battery itself, and it leads to significant reduction in life, specifically cycle life. So these are conditions in solar applications that we can't avoid. We have to attend to them and we have to address them. So basically what partial state of charge means, this is just a graph that we used for one of the projects that we did. This is a 65 kilowatt peak PV system with roughly about 373 kilowatt hours of battery storage. Now if you look at this situation, obviously a day like today, a rainy day causes partial state of charge conditions, because what will happen, obviously the sun comes up, it goes over the panels, it starts raining, so the charging capability is a lot less. So meaning that the batteries would charge less frequently in partial state of charge conditions. So for example, on the rainy days in December, you can see that the batteries don't charge that good in the raining season, so it obviously causes a partial state of charge condition. We can move on. So this is what it does is partial state of charge conditions creates hard sulfation on the battery itself. So if you look at this, on the left-hand side, a battery would be charged at 70% state of charge. It would be discharged to 15% state of charge. We charge it up back to 50, discharge it to 30, charge it up to 85, discharge it to 50. That's partial state of charge conditions because there wasn't enough energy available during this time to charge the battery back to 100% state of charge. All right. So prolonged battery exposure to partial state of charge conditions causes sulfation in normal effect of discharge, but battery sitting in prolonged low state of charge conditions causes hard sulfation on a negative plate. So basically what you can see there, a healthy negative plate, that's what it looks like, and then on the right hand side a hard sulfated negative plate due to partial state of charge. So basically the active material becomes much thicker and it starts breaking off the plate. So how did Trojan solve this problem, or what did we do to solve this problem? We focused on the failure mode specifically for batteries, which was sulfation on a negative plate. This is what happens in most of the conditions in renewable energy. So we spent several years in our R&D work took place to determine how do we address this problem. So we came up with what we call smart carbon, which is a carbon additive that's added to the negative plate of the battery to help performance increase in partial state of charge conditions. So why smart carbon, or nanocarbon is the other word for that? So basically it increases conductivity, so it's higher conductivity of the battery, it works well. It's more efficient in charging times, and it also reduces sulfation. So it's basically an additive that we added to address the problem itself inside the battery. So it would give you superior partial state of charge performance, basically. So proving that smart carbon works, this is something that we do as well. This was a test done by the IEC standards, specifically 61427, which is related to renewable energy applications. So smart carbon cycling life, if we look at the right hand side, it says the benefits of smart carbon in PSOC applications. So normally a battery in perfect conditions, running at good temperatures, operating at a full state of charge, would give you 2,800 cycles. This is our solar industrial line, for example. A battery operating in partial state of charge, any battery, would then deliver 2,240 cycles instead of the 2,800. So what we did with the smart carbon that we added to the battery itself is we basically increase the battery's operating and cycle life when it comes to these conditions. As you can see on the graph, we would deliver more than 15% cycle life than any of our competitors in a standard partial state of charge condition, just because we have the carbon additive on a negative plate in the battery. Something else that we look at specifically is the grid inside the battery, so that would be your negative plate and your positive plate. We've got a heavy duty grid constructions, which basically helps for, it's a thicker grid, so it reinforces strength of the frame and reduce overall corrosion. Its optimized grid configuration enhances current flow, which goes through the grid itself. And then it's got an exceptional structural adhesion, so the design that we do is slightly thicker, it's more robust, so it will last longer. Next one. This is cut off a bit, but what I can explain here, so basically there is what we call a max guard separator, which is a trademark from Trojan side specifically. This is the separator that we use between a positive plate and a negative plate to basically multi-rub geometry keeps acid channels open for increased acid flow, helping sustain optimum performance through the life of the battery. It's a rubber-based separator which helps inhibit antimony transfer between plates, extending overall life. So you can't see the picture on the right-hand side, but what basically happens is as a battery operates and as it reaches end of life, the two plates and then the active material between the plates start touching each other, which causes shorts. So we designed a specific max guard separator to make sure that the battery's active material doesn't reach each other from the negative plate and the positive plate. So there's less shorts in these applications. So a moss shield is also something that we added to the battery itself. So the premium line batteries utilizes a moss shield for longer life. The premium line batteries are built with a moss shield to protect the separators from damaging specifically. The moss shield is installed between the plates and the straps, which inhibits mossing, protecting the plates from shorting and from the cell strap. So this is basically a moss shield that we put in between the separators itself to protect the separators. We use a specific polyon case in all of our batteries. So the polyon is a trademark. It's distinguished by its unique geometric design. As you can see, it's got a real rugged design. The polyon case is Trojan's ultra rugged design. It protects against damage caused by harsh environmental conditions, which is obviously in Nigeria, environmental conditions are slightly different than some of the other countries in Africa, specifically with the heat as well. And it also protects against moisture and dirt buildup on the battery itself. So this is a trademark from Trojan where we use a polyon case specifically. A flow bleach mud rest is something that's at the bottom of the battery. So basically, mud rest is at the bottom of the battery, which catches the active material. As the battery operates over years, active materials comes loose from the negative plate and the positive plate, and it falls down into the battery. So we've designed a specific flow, a mud rest, which is different to our competitors because our mud rest is slightly deeper, it's ribbed. So the active material that falls down into the battery doesn't touch the plates itself, like our competitors do, which causes shorts, which causes moss effects. So we've designed the entire battery with a flow bridge to make sure that the lifespan of the battery obviously increases as well. The Trojan is quality guaranteed. That's what we focused on. We've been like that for more than 96 years. Our engineered, manufactured with reliability, durability, and performance as our customers expect from us. We've got advanced technologies. We use only premium components in our batteries. We comply to all the standards across the world, BCI and IEC specifically. And we regularly put our batteries through the test. We would normally get involved with third-party testing companies, and then we put our batteries to the test. So it's not just us that say they're good. The third-party testing also tells us that. We use an advanced manufacturing process. So we use castless plates specifically, computer-controlled curing of the plates, automated cast strap systems. And then, for example, our AGM facility is state-of-the-art, so that's completely robotic operated that installs the batteries. There's only a person that tests it at the end before it goes out. So yeah, this is just a bit of a teaser. Obviously, Trojan has been known as a predominantly lead-acid battery manufacturer. So what Trojan is going into is the lithium-ion space. Specifically, we've obviously launched a golf cart unit, which is a 48-volt, 30-amp-hour battery. It comes with a built-in BMS. It's got 2 CAN bus communication ports. It's IP67 rated, so you can push it underwater for a meter, take it out, nothing will happen with the battery. We actually did a test where we tried to short the battery, so we took a spanner and we put it over the poles. You would normally not do that with a battery because you'll shock, you'll die. So we did that with this specific battery. It just switches off, you press the button and it starts back up again. They did it again, battery just switches off, and you press the button and it starts back up again. So safety is one of the key features that we are building into lithium-ion batteries for the future. We putting a lot of emphasis on safety, the aspects of quality for the battery, and in specifically cells to make sure that the cells operate at their best life performance. So this is the first range that we've launched specifically for golf carts. In September, we're launching a 24-volt 70-amp-hour, a 36-volt 50-amp-hour, and then towards the end of the year, we'll have a 12-volt 100-amp-hour lithium-ion battery. You can string them up to 24 units in a string. And then going forward into next year, we will definitely design bigger size units, which will cater more for your 5 kilowatt to 10 kilowatt hour storage systems. That's it from a Trojan side, just in a nutshell. Make sure that when you guys look at batteries, look at quality, look at reputable manufacturers, look at people that go the extra mile, that look at IEC standards, at BCI standards. Make sure you deal with companies that's been in the market for a while. Not just somebody that walks in, as they say, and then the next day you can't find the installer, you don't know where he's gone. We deal with Gennex Technologies for a long time now, and we'll continue to support them with our product range. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bernard. Please, once again, let's jam our hands together for him. So if you have questions for him, there's a session for question and answer. Just hold off on that, and then we'll take it. So a report came out about 2 years ago that over 800 million people in the world lack electricity. And most of these people are in Africa and Asia. So we're going to jump to the next session, and they're going to be discussing with us the proper design and sizing of solar solutions for commercial and residential customers. The reason for this is that there has been an over-reliance, on outdated electricity approaches in Africa. So the panelists are going to be sharing with us some of the innovations their organizations are bringing up to solve these challenges. And first on my list here, I have the pleasure of introducing the Chief Operating Officer and CEO of OWAT, Mr. Jubril Adiojo. Is he here? Oh, thank you. Oh. Please come up, sir. Okay, so we have Mr. Felix Michael, the project manager for OWAT Solar. Please go to the stage. Thank you. The next person we have at the first session is the Chief Operating Officer for 1 Watt Solar, Mr. Femi Oye. Is he here? Okay, so while we wait for him, we also have Mr. Femi Adeyemo. I'm aware he's represented. Is representative here? Okay, Mrs. Omobola, am I right? Omofai. Please come on. Please jam your hands together for her. And also, we have the head of renewable energy for Starling Bank here, Mr. Sheyi Okunuga. So within the next 35 minutes, they're going to be discussing with us how to properly design and size solar solutions for both commercial and residential customers. Thank you so much.
So you're welcome, and we thank you for accepting to be panelists for this session. A critical issue, and it's one of the reasons why we actually felt that we should sit down and talk together, today, has been the challenge of properly evaluating customers when it comes to their energy profile, when it comes to their load profile, auditing them. And one of the challenges we've had over the years has been unqualified, in quotes, solar installers doing these designs and sizing and audit for commercial, industrial, and all resident customers. So you are at the forefront of the issues. I know that the Sterling Bank has been one of the banks in Nigeria that has, keyed into renewable energy, right from the outset, and has heeded the development of the sector. I know Hanergy is one of the leading companies in Nigeria, and is very, very active in the upstream commercial and industrial sector. I know One White Solar has also been very, very good with Jubril, has also been very, very active. So starting from Sheyi, I want you to, just share your perspective. What has been the challenge, from the Sterling Bank perspective?
Sterling Bank, as you know, we've taken a deep dive into the renewable energy sector a couple of years ago. It is important to say that we've burnt our fingers several times, and we have a relationship with many companies, installers, developers, vendors, and the rest of it. We pretty much understand the industry very well. Now, regarding the subject matter, developing the right kind of a solution for a customer that would, of course, encourage the impact of renewable energy within this sector, you need to start with a couple of things. And the reason why these items are very important is because you do not want to discourage customers, those you want to convert, from having a bad experience from the very beginning. So you want to look at what exactly is going to save cost for the customer. We all agree that renewable energy solution is not pretty cheap, right? Even though as technology continues to improve, outside the shores of this country, prices seem to be coming down. However, because of foreign exchange, the impact is not being felt. I remember like 4 years ago, 4 years ago, when the price of battery was coming down to as low as 60,000 naira. But all of a sudden, we had a hit with our foreign exchange, and we are back to where we are. So for a customer, you will want to be sure that for whatever amount a customer is investing, the customer will have a payback period on the sum invested. That even if I'm going to invest 2 million naira, 3 million naira, depending on the kind of solution you have, you will know that, in the next 3-4 years, I'll have my payback period back. So cost is very important. You also want to look at things like space, when it comes to deploying a solution. You want to also look at things that has to do with parameters around the policy that you are dealing with within the system. Then you look at financing. If you are a renewable energy company, selling renewable solution, you want to partner with an institution that is readily available to support either the developer or the installer or the vendor, as you may know it, and also support the customer at the same time. Okay, so you need to have a point where we will meet both parties in order to be able to deploy this solution.
Let me paint a scenario. I'm a customer, a commercial and industrial customer. I know that the load profile is always high for C&I customers. Okay, so how has Hanergy tackled that? How do you profile me to be able to say that, okay, you've actually captured my load profile to be able to give me a solution that is not only cost effective, but also durable. Without, along the line, telling me that I should not put on 3 ACs, I should put on 1 AC, I should not put on my deep freezer, so how do you capture my load profile? What has been your experience in that?
All right, thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to Gennex and the organizers of this event for having us. I think the topic we're discussing today is very, very important around customer education and around how solar energy is being offered. I would say that the way the solution is being offered is pretty different from the traditional form of generation of energy. And why am I saying this? So you've painted a scenario. For instance, I have a C&I customer that needs to power their business with solar energy. So the first thing we need to do, number one, is to understand the need of the customer. That's the first thing. Then number two, we also need to understand the budget of the customer. Number three, we need to give you a solution that can help you reduce cost if that is your objective. For some customers, they want to reduce their energy spend. For some, they need to eliminate. Those are some of the factors that we consider while doing the system design and sizing. Then number three, we need to consider the available space you have on your rooftop for the installation of the panels. And if you do not have available space, we can recommend solar gantries, or if you have carport available, those can also be used to install the solar panels. Then number three, we understand your existing energy mix. Do you already have grid? If you have grid, how many hours per day? Number two, do you support your business with diesel generator? And definitely understand the ratio. And you also let us know, again, do you want to reduce your bills or do you want to completely eliminate? So those are two different options. If you're telling us that you want to completely maybe eliminate, or you even want to reduce, we need to understand the load profile of your company or your factory, so to say. We do detailed energy audit, both physically, and we also have data loggers that we put in there to understand the trend of your consumption. Most times for big industries, we can log data for about a week or two, depending. And after that, the data is analyzed. Then number two, we also try to work with the customer's energy spend. We believe that most companies keep data. You have data around your electricity bill and around what you currently spend maybe on diesel generator. So those are some of the inputs we use in calculating and analyzing the sort of solution that we will size for the customer. And after that conversation is clear and the alignment is there, you said that you don't want us to tell you that don't put all the ACs and all of that. I make bold to say that renewable energy can power as much if the customer is also willing to do the right investment. Is CapEx heavy, but if the customer is able to do the right investment, that will also help. So for companies that work night and day, we will always give you a solution that has to do with the PV solution and also the storage solution, so that the PVs are installed, it generates during the day, and you have a backup solution on the battery for the nighttime. So that's pretty much how we engage customers, but always like to put it out there that is more of a consultative solution offering. So customers should engage experts in the solar space that can give them the right design. So you don't come back and get feedback from customers that my solution is not working or is not serving purpose. Thank you so much.
I have a whole lot of questions I want to ask from your opening remarks, but Femi, I want to, this room is composed of experts in this industry. I can be sure of that. Now, one of the bane of the industry has been people who masquerade as qualified solar installers, but go out and confuse the customers the more. And, a solution starts with proper sizing, design, and audit. That's the so. So in your thoughts, what do you think we could do? Because it's important. If I'm a customer today, the first level of advice I would get will not be from the company, especially customers who do not have existing relation with the company and not ready to probably go online, search, engage. They either go through a referral from a friend, or they call the nearest electrician to say, I want to install solar solution. And that guy does not say, oh, I don't have, I'm an electrical electrician, but I don't have required expertise here. I would want to call someone who has experience there. But he brings himself forward as someone who could do that solution. So what do we do really in terms to tackle this? It's a big issue in the industry.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for having me. Like what we do, we partner with solar training institutes. We have a lot of installers on our database. So if you go to our website, you can always access them. We have them there with their contact. So for us, we don't just give it to roadsides, and most times we partner with franchisees. We have technical partners, major solar companies that we deal with. We actually don't do the installation directly, but we have solar companies as our franchisees. So they are responsible for installing our sites and maintenance as well. So we are just there on the background to monitor them and to ensure that what they are doing is according to standards. So I will advise that engaging people, we need to, go through the right channel. It's not always right to just have an installation in your house. Like what we do, we normally do proper energy audits, check your load. Sometimes we log for almost 1 month to see your energy profile, and doing that, we're able to give you a proper design that is functional, that is able to serve you, and you have good returns from your money, so to say. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry to put you on the hot seat, but I think I'll need to call Engineer Tuji to come and join the panel. I think we'll gain from his wealth of experience here. He's the Executive Director Technical for Gennex, so I want to put him on the hot seat. Sorry, I'll ask one of the ushers, can you please come so that I can take the...
I just want to ask, how can original equipment manufacturers get involved in your training process to make sure that we educate the users as well with regards to training and educating the market?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
So you were saying how could OEMs, get involved in training your technicians or training your staff?
Yeah, you can partner with us. We have a lot of training institutes that partner with us, so we can. I can talk to you after this, and we can go on. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, Engineer Tuji, one of the points made here is looking at the budget of the customer. In trying to design these solutions. Now, how does my budget, how does it affect the quality you give me? Okay, because Omobola said that the CAPEX is high. It's high. Now, when you look at my budget, and I said, no, I want this solution, and this is my budget. How does the interplay of budget and quality work? Okay, so if a customer say, okay, I only have 100,000 and I need 5 kVA solution. So that's the customer's budget. Okay, and you've conducted the audit. How do we escape not asking him, don't put on the fridge, or don't put on the AC with that budget. Because when we tell people that you need to set aside the sum of 2 million, 2 point something million for a 5 kVA, they said, "Oh wow, no." So when you ask them for their budget, the budget is always at variance with the quality of the solution that they desire or that they require. So how do we tackle that? So Angela, please can you give me the microphone.
All right, thank you. I think we should start from the fundamentals. We all use energy, which means we have our energy budget. It's ongoing, and I think most people probably will find our solutions more attractive if, at the very least, it will save them money. Maybe not immediately, but over time. He was talking about a payback period. I think it's very critical. So with that fundamental, the next is, what are the options? Good thing with solar is at a certain point, component providers, systems component providers have learned to have stuff that you can actually scale. We have 3 critical components for solar, really. You have the PV, you have the the inverters, and of course you have the storage. These days you can scale inverters. You can scale solar. I'm talking about PV now. And of course you can scale batteries. So what it means is, if I start from your budget, then I can say, where do can we start at a point where you scale as you save money? So you said you have 100,000. Unfortunately, you cannot scale from 100,000. It's going to be pretty difficult. But if you are a serious solar user whose intention is to actually, maybe increase your energy use over time, then you can scale from, let's say, around 5 kilowatts. That allows you to have systems components that you can, scale. You can have 1 unit of 5 kVA today, maybe in another 2 years down the line, you get another one which you sync with it, and you could do that. And you could now use your savings to actually finance that. I guess that's the only realistic way. One, to let people see that the payback period is realistic, like he rightly said. And then, of course, as you recover your money, you reinvest. To me, that's a realistic way to go.
Okay, you want to add to that?
Thank you. To add to what you said, there are some other opportunities available in the market. Like us, we have a product we call Shoma Plus. We install and you pay over time. We are in partnership with banks. They have to profile you, and over time you can pay over time. So I think that is another opportunity that is available.
Okay, Sterling Bank, I want to ask, and Omobola Energy too, have you ever had projects that energy as a project, energy as a service? Have you ever had instances where you have to abandon or just count your losses in that regard when you've done, and for one way or the other, out of these reasons that probably issues of sizing or the customer did not properly, explain his load profile or say, oh, in future I might want to use these, and you find out that the customer has not been forthright, along the line. Have you had projects that that after your comment you wanted to say something, so you can take it with that? So then after the Omobola comes in. Then after that we can ask 1 or 2 questions from the audience so that we can close this session.
Okay. So I would respond to what you've said now again, in addition to what you've said. Now, over the years of experience, within this sector, one thing is very critical and very, very important right from the very beginning, and that is education. Education across board, user, developer, user most especially. Most of our customers believe that, oh, because I have a 500 watt solution or a 1 kVA solution, the moment I have light in my living room or my parlor, it can pretty much power my fridge or freezer. So it starts with education. The beautiful thing here now is because the experience most of us are having with fossil fuel generator has caused a lot of people to educate themselves that, look, what is the way out right now? And everybody is digging in to understand what renewable energy is all about. The kind of customers I come across now, unlike when, the advent of renewable energy, maybe 2 years, 3 years ago, the kind of customers I have right now are getting informed, better informed. You are right when you spoke about the fact that, customers want cheap solution, they want affordable solution or cheap solution for a big kind of system. You are very right regarding that. Energy or service, or what some of us know as power as a service. We have a brand name called Imperium in Sterling Bank, which we use to extend loan facilities, lease to own, and power as a service. Now, we've engaged in power as a service in the very beginning. And of course, there is a model that is used to know that even as an investor in that sector, your payback period or return on investment as a company or a bank, whichever the case is, has to be maybe 3 years, 4 years. But along the line, you find out that 2 years, you're already having problem with the solution. Maybe battery problem, maybe user problem, okay? It is, customers usually feel that, because this solution is under a power as a service contract, they can pretty much flog the system anyhow. And the moment it has a problem, all they need to do is to put a call to you to come and carry your problem or to come and solve your problem. You understand? So they flog the system anyhow.
I think that resonates with a lot of people, have you?
Yeah. So to come and flog your problem. So what we've done, we've sat down with a lot of practitioners such as Gennex, Energy, One Solar, and the rest of it. And what solution can we provide? When we decided that, look, for solutions such as that, you need a system that is, for lack of English, rugged. Okay, an inverter that is rugged. A lithium-inclined batteries, for example, right? Something that will take you, solar panels that are very, that will harvest almost 100%, if I may say it, so that the return on investment can be captured within the contract period. Otherwise, you burn your finger. Then, lastly, as Nigerians, we have a cultural problem. We want to own our asset rather than think that it belongs to someone. Okay, so we still have customers who want to do what you call pay small or lease to own and own it. But so the problem cuts across, but if you need to go into that particular aspect, energy as a service, which we're doing at the commercial level, corporate, and you need to make sure that the system that you are deploying is very rugged and you understand the energy need of the customer. If you need to bypass any appliances, bypass it. Make sure it's not connected. Not like one of my customers that we changed inverter system 4 times, only to find out that after we leave, she connects a gas cooker, 2,500 watts cooker to the inverter system. The inverter system keeps blowing. We tracked the system all to the roof to see, inner roof to see where the problem was. By the time we found out that we almost practically had to remove the gas cooker from our home, then we incurred losses. So these are things I'm sure you familiarize yourself with them. Thank you.
Okay, Mamabola, you want to answer to that?
Yeah, sorry, because before I lose track of this, sorry. just a couple of minutes. Yeah, it's a very serious problem. People overloading their inverters and stuff. At Gennex, we had to actually innovate around that. We came up with what we call a programmable overload system. So you can we can install a 5 kilowatts inverter for you, but then we can program it to behave like a 500 watts inverter. So that limits you. We go to sleep. I mean, if you put 1 kilowatts on it, it will shut down. So we size the storage in accordance with the load that we expect the inverter to power. And the beauty of it is that you can go ahead next time and reprogram it to 5 kilowatts.
Okay, just to quickly add to that, and in response, based off of the experiences we've had, I think I'll speak to one. During COVID, we had quite a number of schools that are on the energy as a service model, but because the schools were not operating at that point, for some of them, they practically approached us, so it had to be deferred payment. So I wouldn't say that it was a question of having to take off the solution. But like the other two panelists rightly mentioned, on the energy as a service, because the customers do not own the asset, they just consume the energy. So there's a tendency that people might want to overload that. So again, customer education comes to play. Then also on the contract itself, you might also clearly define what should be used as minimum consumption. Your minimum consumption is what you must do every month. And if you're doing above that, then definitely you know that it's going to attract additional payment by the customer. Because now, even if you're using PHCN, the tariffs are higher, so people also do manual energy management. If you're using your generators, I know that people don't overload it because it's a generator. So the general awareness around energy management has to be something that must be constantly spoken about to the customer, to the ecosystem. Let people understand how these solutions function. So at the end of the day, they don't overuse the system. And again, they do not, give that feedback that solar energy doesn't work. And in situations where it's very, very obvious that the customer is maxing out, with their consent, we can go in there because of course energy will go over time. Their demand might change over time. We can do a reassessment of that facility and also make recommendation around upgrade. And we've had quite a couple of customers also embrace that to give them the level of comfort they need around their energy usage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we have any comments or contributions from the audience?
But my name is Kolawale, K-Glow Citadel. So I firstly thank Gennex for bringing us together. And I have a question for Mr. Seyi, the Stanbic Bank, I think. Starling Bank, okay, that is good. My question is this: is your window open to everybody? Because the whole Nigeria, they are interested in this green energy, but the means is not there. So can your bank finance anybody that we introduce to you? And if yes is the answer, what's the procedure?
Okay, thank you. I don't usually escape questions when I come to events like this. It's always about financing and the money. Now we finance almost everybody, and I use the word almost everybody because there are certain criteria that you look at, and that is the purchasing power. Can the customer sustain the repayment of the solution when financed? The other thing that is also very critical to us is that even if you have a vendor, an installer, you want to be sure that the installer is up to it in terms of experience, knowledge. We've had instances where I've deployed a 20 kVA to a very known place in Lagos, somewhere in Lekki, where the installer deployed used solar panels. the installer deployed, the inverters were new, the batteries were completely substandard, unbranded, and that's a 20 kVA, and the system only lasted barely 3 months. And the customer stopped paying on our loan obligation. Now, the installer in question, as I speak right now, is nowhere to be found. Are you getting me? So when I say I've seen it all, I've practically seen it all. And right now, so you have to look at, when you have a bad battery, okay, which is probably constitutes about 60 to 70% of the cost of the solution, you're in real serious trouble. So it doesn't only end with the customer. Customers isn't even fair the moment you can establish source of repayment. But when you have an installer that does a bad job, you are in for it. So we finance, we support, but it comes across board. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Gennex, and thank you, everybody there. My name is Kola Omotunde Young. Please, listening to the panelists, it almost appears like we're putting a lot of the blame on the customer rather than letting the industry do what is right. And I think the Gennex gentleman gave us something that we should look at. The truth is, for the customer, when the customer connects to the grid, PACN does not come to tell the customer, don't put on AC, don't put on fridge, don't put on this. When the customer decides that he has enough money to buy AC, he goes ahead and buys AC. If it's connected to the grid that cannot power his system, the grid just shuts off. And every time he connects, the grid shuts off. So it's the customer that goes back to go and ask PACN, okay, what's happening here? Every time I connect this, it shuts off. The same thing, when a customer buys a generator, the generator seller, it tells you, gives you an idea. But once the customer connects something that the generator cannot carry, the generator will shut down, any good generator. So I think it is the industry that must ensure that whatever is supplied to the customer, once the customer overloads it, it shuts out. That's what engineering is about. Okay, anything away from that, it's like not doing a good job. So we need to be able to go away from here. I don't have a solution, okay, but they go away from realizing that the customer is king always, and it is the customer's interest that we must be concerned with, and not be the one to tell the customer, okay, you are guilty for doing this and that. Our system should be foolproof. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say a couple of things concerning your experience. It's always bad news when you install a system and it fails too early. Energy as a service actually is a very good proposition if we get it right. To get it right, we need to be mindful of the fundamentals. And it starts with cost per cycle of the storage. From the cost per cycle, you'll know how long you are spending per cycle of discharge. If the cost per cycle is low, then by the time you look at the numbers, you can see clearly that energy as a service is actually very profitable. Why? Strong inverters can last for years, perhaps even decades. Same applies to the PV, 20, 30 years. So the the weak link there actually is the storage. And that's why you, the right storage is not expensive. If you can break it down and look at the cost per cycle, if it's reasonable, fits into your cost calculations, it's a good thing. But I think it's something that needs to be you need to be very conscious of. All right.
Thank you. So we have just two, one there, then Madam here, so that we can quickly round off this session.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Uzoho. I'm a journalist. I report energy at This Day newspapers. I have three questions. One is going by the general theme of this conference, which is delivering sustainable energy across Africa. And I understand that this is supposed to be through solar energy. So I want to know what your response, is regarding the position of government and those in the oil and gas sector who always say that it is not a time for solar in Nigeria. It is not a time for renewable energy in Nigeria, even though they are hearing that energy transition, is now very rife, across the globe. But they always find a way to kick against this area of energy mix. So that kind of position, how does it make you that are in this sector feel? Do you feel discouraged, or do you feel that there is something that maybe government and these oil sectors needs to understand and needs to know and needs to do? That's number one. Number two is, what is your demand for the government for the development of this solar sector? What is your expectation from government? Because I understand that right now there is no law, there's no legislation backing solar energy in Nigeria yet. So what is your demand for government to ensure that this sector grows, to ensure that this sector offers the value it has for the country? And then the last one is, what quantum of job, for many years now, the country has been suffering, grappling with unemployment, particularly youth unemployment. So since this sector has come on board, what quantum of job are you looking at to gauge from this sector to help the country fight youth unemployment? Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm going to distribute the questions to the panelists. Sheyi, you talk about his first question, which is about apathy, skepticism from other sectors like oil and gas about the solar energy industry. So, Femi, you tackle the question on youth employment. So, what do we need to do to gather unit? What policies? So, Mobola, you help us tackle that. So, quickly, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir, for the question. So, I will be selfish a bit. So I'll split my answer into three, because as a bank, I also understand how much the federal and state government is doing, to support renewable energy. You talk about CBN, the Solar Niger Fund, for example, that is meant to empower 250,000 people and homes, employment. You talk about BOI, who's also supporting the renewable energy. Okay. Then you talk about REA, that we all know, that's the Rural Electrification Agency, that are developing mini grid here and there. And some, as a bank, we've invested in a company named Solar for SHS solution for over 100,000 homes. So the government is doing a lot in that sector, I need to say. Now, regarding what I would say the journey between, or the competition between fossil fuel and renewable energy, the simple thing is to just look inward and look at companies such as Shell, where you have Olon, going into renewable energy. Look at Total Energy, Total changing their name to Total Energy, delving into renewable energy. Look at Seplat, also doing a beautiful colloquium such as yours and an event, launching renewable energy into their business. The journey towards renewable energy for a country, a developing country such as Nigeria might be far away, to that of a Western world, but we need to start the journey. For now, we need to do a mixture of fossil fuel and renewable energy and everything. Whatever works for us, we need to do right now. Bending, but let us be on the journey. Then finally, I think I've answered it. Thank you.
Okay, so it's actually a moving train. For those who are not on board yet, I think the high cost of fossil fuel over the last few months, has actually shown them something. So about youth, how can the industry galvanize youth employment?
Yeah, thank you. I think we need to start from the point of awareness. You understand that? As a youth, you need to understand the opportunities available unto you. I'll still go back to why we have training institutes. We train installers through our training institutes, and our installer. We are also gender sensitive. I think about 40% of them. Currently we have about 1,000 installers in our database trained through the training institute we are collaborating with, and it is also gender sensitive. So these are people, after training, they can make means for themselves. So awareness also is very, very key. You need to look out for the opportunities, and once the awareness is there, people will come, and the opportunity is there.
All right, thank you. So
can I add one?
Yes, you can.
Training is key, like you said. But more importantly is the quality of training itself. You are better off training 100 people that are effective than training 1,000 that are useless. And for you to train and get meaning out of it, I'll always say you must understand the fundamentals. What I observe generally is we get too carried away by processes. We get lazy, we look at software applications. These applications are built around fundamentals. And experience has shown that if you grasp the fundamentals, you can actually make the training very simple, such that even people with just basic knowledge can actually get the gist. And that is the way to actually have, be able to actually get more interest and get more people into the sector. It's no doubt solar is the way to go. The question is, we have challenges here. The educational institutions are all messed up. But training institutions can be focused. The good thing about training institutes like solar institutes is focusing, and we can distill and just go straight to the results.
All right, Tomobola, you want to tackle that?
Yes, just to add to his last question around what the government is doing, Sheyi captured it well. I think the government is doing quite a lot to ensure that the adoption of renewable solar energy can be more in-depth in Nigeria. A lot of funds are being provided to the solar developers and solar companies in form of grants, just to ensure that more connections and more homes can be on solar, and there also can be job creation. But I think more can be done, because if you look at the input used in building the solution itself, I would say over 50% of it is imported. So that means we are heavily hinged around importation. If there can be enabling environment for developers or manufacturers to do local production, I think that will help a whole lot. Then also around the import duties, if that can be heavily subsidized, I know that will also have a good impact, especially on the costs, as we are discussing today, can also help. And maybe waivers as applicable. I think those are some areas that can be considered to make the cost of solar more friendly for people and to have more people onboarded, and also incentivizing maybe the companies and also individuals that get the connection. Because if you look at it, I would say that solar has come to stay in the renewable energy space because that's the future. If you look at the effect of what burning fossil fuel is on our environment, is highly alarming. I was in Europe last month and the temperature was reading up to over 40 degrees, you know, wildfire everywhere. So you will know that the impact of global warming, it's just staring us in the face, and something has to be done drastically. Number one, to protect the planet and also for sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. So final question from here. I understand that some of our online participants want to ask questions, so we'll just take 2 questions from them after you, please.
All right, thank you so much. Morning, everyone. My question would be around the place or the role of insurance, you know, because while the panelists were talking about their experiences and, you know, some of the negatives, I didn't quite hear the role the insurance companies are playing around here. Do we have, you know, some sort of partnership with those insurance companies in such a way that even from the financing part, you know, you're being protected, the client is protected, and even the solar owner and all of those things, you know. I just want to hear what are the things we're doing around partnering with insurance. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to answer that question because I was the one that raised it. Of course, for the instance I gave, there was insurance. But of course, you know how much insurance companies can be reluctant when they want to, when there's a claim. But it's not as if they said they won't pay. But the kind of solution we are talking about, 20 kVA, for example, is not a small amount, you know. But they will have to carry out their due diligence, come to the site, check what really went on, try to push back, and the rest. You know, all the discussions. Now, imagine if you have to deal with, you want to quickly impact the market. You want to look at 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000 customers and everything. And you are dealing with one and you are spending weeks trying to claim damages or whatever. So that is one. So the insurance is involved. For loans granted to SHA solutions and the rest is involved. For big time solutions, whether mini grid, micro, insurance is involved. Now, insurance is even involved to an extent where you look at maybe payment guarantees that comes from insurance company where the off-takers, you know, is supposed to remit money to the provider under energy as a service or power as a service. We've had an instance where the off-taker refused to issue a payment guarantee from an insurance company simply because they felt they have to purchase it. It's an additional cost. They have to be renewing the insurance from time to time. So why would they? So it's going to have an impact, financial impact on their bottom line. So it is there. You know, it might not be as swift as how we desire as either off-taker or financiers and the rest of it. I think that's the question. Did I answer? Okay. Yes, there's insurance, you know, for end users, especially when it comes for financing. The moment you finance, you know, there's an insurance amount, insurance fee that is applicable to the solution. You know, thank you.
Okay, so we would like to go to online participants quickly. I understand a couple, but we'll only take 2 questions from the online participants. So, can we get to them?
Yes, check the chat.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I don't know whether I'm the one calling. My name is Joshua Olaiwola. I really want to know what is the effort that the Standard Organization of Nigerian government and major marketers are doing about substandard products so that the panel and the battery that infiltrated the market, what are the efforts that the major marketer, this kind of organization of Nigeria, because if they can cop substandard products, I think it will help good deployment of the services.
Okay. Well, that question came in at the appropriate time because while we're having this session, the director of marketing of Standard Organization of Nigeria actually came into the. So, Mr. Adome Richard, you're welcome, sir. So, this is a welcome. It is a welcome question for you. It's a little bit for you because he said, so what is Standard Organization of Nigeria doing about substandard solar inputs and components that are coming into Nigeria? Very, very good question.
Good morning, all. I had to make a turn from Third Mainland Break to attend this meeting because I was not scheduled to be here. But once I saw the invitation online posted to me, and the person that was supposed to be here is actually in Abuja, I said, I'm coming back because I know there will be questions for Standards Organization of Nigeria. Yeah, it's interesting to know that more than 5-6 years ago, we started something on renewable. I actually started it. And so if you see marketing there, I am marketing technical issues. So I need to be here and tell you that we've done a lot, but we have challenges also. We started with the lighting, and then, because if you don't deal with issues, there has to be with the appliance that consume this energy, and you are introducing the energy generating aspect, you might have problem. Because the essence is Nigerians, once you have your money, you can go and buy a 200 watts bulb and then plug it into your renewable energy system, solar system. So we need to do something. At that time, we work on CFLs, and then we also have what we call energy labels that were supposed to be used on some of these appliances. After we're done with the lightings, we move to refrigerator. From refrigerator, we move to air conditioner. If you come to a laboratory complex in Nogba, you will see we have facilities to test this lighting. We have facility to test solar system, batteries, even the charge controllers. They're all there, and they're very new because we're working with some donor agencies also. And then on the issue of managing it, I have said it more than 4 years ago that from the way things are done in Nigeria, people will begin to develop apathy towards solar system. Why am I saying this? Is proliferation of installers is a major problem in Nigeria today. And you observe that if you go to some of the street lights as you walk along or you drive along, by 8 o'clock, most of those street lights are off because they are solar-based. What does this installer do? They charge government, go and buy small battery, small solar charger panel, and then the storage is so low that by the time you're approaching 6-7 o'clock, you have drained all the energy in the storage system. And so it seems it's a failure. It is not actually a failure. It's somebody that is engaging in cheap practices. They suspend about maybe 100-ounce battery, put a solar panel that is less than 10 watts, and all of that. And so we're doing a lot. I know about 4 years ago, we also work on the, what do you call it, code of practice for deployment of this. We invited stakeholders, we worked on it. But the major challenge we have actually is that for more than 4 years, 5 years now, the source of this product coming into country, we're no longer there. The government wants us out at the port. And when you go to the open market to arrest people that are producing substandard product, you are only killing an individual business. If somebody brings in 10 container loads and he escapes from the port, in less than 24 hours, he will have sold everything out, pocket his money, somebody buys 5, another man buys 10, and you now go to their shop and start seizing it. You have not done the right thing. You are kicking people out of business. And so what I was trying to do, just 4 weeks ago, the government gave us provisional approval to go back to the port, provisional for 6 months. They might kick us out again. So it is important that you tackle this before coming in. And another issue we did, a lot of us know about SUNCAP. It's a pre-shipment arrangement where those products are tested abroad before they are being shipped into Nigeria. And that was also tied to CBN Form M. Without it, but what do Nigerians do? They go to China with their cash, and so they will not need Form M, and bring in this product, drop it at Benin. Overnight, it crosses to Nigeria. So it's a lot of problem. So what I will say here is that consumers also should try to get information. Don't rely 100% on your installers. Ask questions. And they will be able to also guide you. These are solar panels that have been tested and found okay. These are batteries that have been tested and found okay, and all of these things. But we just give an installer money, goes there, buy whatever he likes, and then install for you. You enjoy it for 1 month. After 1 month, the battery is gone. And then you complain that this thing is not good. It is not true. It is an individual thing. So I will urge us, we intend to go into certification of installers.
Thank you, sir.
That is very key for us.
Thank you so much, sir. So the final question from online, so that end this session.
Can I go on with my question?
Is this the second question?
Yes, my name is Chris from Mycom Energy. A lot of emphasis is on solar PV in particular. I'm aware there are other renewable energy sources. Are those not viable in Nigeria? Or can somebody educate us or enlighten us on what is happening in the other types of renewable energy like wind, wind and other types? I know we are already doing hydro at some big levels, but some other smaller levels. What are happening in those areas beyond solar PV?
So quickly, our panelists, you want to answer that for the opportunity?
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking this question is because I seem to be like the gateway to a lot of businesses, a lot of customers, installers, developers, and the rest. So I have the privilege of that information. Now, so you have biomass. You also have wind, and you have the hydro, Now, for biomass, one of the major challenges of biomass is feed, the input. Where does it come from? How is it harnessed? And which community, which cluster do you want to finance? Now we have 2-3 initiatives. One from a church that has a camp somewhere around, the expressway to Ibadan, right? For that kind of a solution now, the challenge is that it is only when there is camp or when they have an event that you have feed. So the system is there, idle, but it is only when there is an event, they have a, what do you call it now? Convention that, the system is put to use. Now, so for such, the payback period or return on investment or net book value or whatever is like keeping an asset that you are not utilizing. Now, we've had a situation where, and all these items too, biomass, other than for renewable energy, is also used for some other thing, create palleting, processing and the rest, plastic and the rest. Is also being used other than the feed that comes from it. So some investors or business people will find more need to get return on investment to use these wastages for other businesses. Now, for hydro is capital intensive, right? Although you have some villages where you have small streams where you can easily set up a small mechanical device to power the environment. But the question is, do I want to go to a village where the purchasing power is very low, where 1,000 naira is extremely key to an individual? Would they be able to pay me back? So why would I go there? So the urge is not readily there, for other sources. But does it exist? Does it work? Yes, it does exist. And it doesn't only apply to Nigeria, it also applies to other countries of the world where solar energy seems to take the front burner above other sources of energy.
Thank you so much. That's a wonderful answer to that question. So we want to thank our panelists from Femi, from Obolat, Engineer Tuji, from Sheyi. Please, a round of applause to them. We appreciate it. So you can go back to your...
The next thing we are moving on to now is harvesting the sun through quality PV module. And we have a representative of Canadian Solar, Mr. Kiran Moore, is the senior sales manager and the global trainer for Europe, Middle East, and Africa at Canadian Solar. Mr. Moore, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Great. So you have just 10 minutes.
Okay. If you go to the first slide, please. Okay, firstly, sorry that I couldn't be with you today. Normally I would attend these events in person. I'm sitting at an airport at the moment, so I do apologise for not being in the room with you. Firstly, Canadian Solar. Our mission is to lead solar into every household for cleaner and future generations, cleaner Earth. So Canadian Solar has successfully delivered over 71 gigawatts of premium quality modules, solar modules. To put that into context for you, that's about 140 nuclear power stations. So we deliver modules to over 160 countries worldwide. If you could please mute your screen, if you could please mute on the line, that'd be very appreciated. So Canadian Solar was founded in 2000 in Ontario. We have over 14,000 employees globally. We're one of the most bankable solar manufacturers worldwide with Bloomberg New Energy Finance for the last 4 consecutive years. And we have a revenue in 2021 for $5.3 billion. Bloomberg World Bankability. So Canadian Solar, as you will see, is rated a top tier player by Bloomberg New Energy Finance, and we have been consecutively for the last number of years. So Canadian Solar strategy is moving in 4 directions. We're very aware that the market is calling for longevity as far as modules are concerned, especially for the continent of Africa. So we're doing this through four technologies. We're going through technology, so we're moving to P-type mono-PERC technology, heterojunction, paving, and N-type. We have very large high output power modules. We're moving away from the 152, 156, 166 mil cells, moving into 180 and 210. We have a portfolio that is not optimized for each for a single application. So we offer a portfolio that will allow modules to be taken from our complete portfolio to be utilized in commercial, industrial, or residential applications. So wafer sizes. For you that have been in the solar energy for a number of years, you will be aware that the original solar cells are built around 156 millimeter cells. The industry is predominantly phasing these products out, and we're moving to larger, more efficient solar PV cells, modules, and panels. So current portfolio is built around 182 millimeter or a 210 millimeter cell. So we're again moving away from our traditional 3L, 3N, 3W, which has been the run rate products for most of the industry. We're moving to larger cell formats based on the 182 millimeter cell. We have current products, which is a CS6R. And if you move to the next slide, please. We're moving into 6W, 7, and 7N. So these are the larger, higher output panels that are specifically designed to work in higher temperature operating in harsh environments. And Gennex have a complete range of our products in stock or on the water. So just to touch on cell technologies very briefly. Next slide. Traditionally, the business has always been around poly-PERC or poly technology. All manufacturers have moved into the mono-PERC technology. And now we're moving forward into heterojunction and TOPCon. These are two new N-type technologies that is the latest industry buzzword as far as solar PV is concerned. Okay, as you will see, the mono PERC technology is currently around our high Q6, high Q7. The N-type technology is, so everything is moving to the N-type technology. This is really the next generation of solar PV cells. It's a much more efficient cell structure and enables us to do technologies such as tunnel oxide and also heterojunction. So if you take our traditional P-type cell, you traditionally had a P-type cell, P-type silicone in the middle, and then you doped N-type on top of that with electrons made out of phosphorus. That gave you your physical PN junction. So what we're doing now, we're now moving into the N-type technology, where the core of the cell structure is N-type. We're then layering a P-type doping, which is boron or gallium, which gives you your difference as far as your electrons are concerned for your solar PV and your photovoltaic effect PN junction. Once you've got an N-type base layer, what you're physically able to do, you can either put a passivation on the backside, which increases the speed of the electrons within the cell surface to increase better forms of photovoltaic, or you can layer amorphous silicone on the top and the bottom. If you lay an amorphous silicone on the top and the bottom, you get in a heterojunction type cell, which gives you an approximately 2.8, 2.9% more efficient cell structure and consequently a more efficient panel. So heterojunction has been around since 1997, was originally introduced with Sanyo. It has a lower cell recombination, higher efficiency. The production is also much more cost effective. Cells only reach 200 degrees in production, which saves on energy costs and obviously contributes to saving as far as production costs are concerned and contributes to the offset as far as climate change. Has a higher bifacial potential, and its use of silver is higher than in PERC technology. The main advantage of heterojunction is it has no light-induced degradation. This is a phenomenon which is linked to boron, and obviously if we're not using boron because it's an N-type cell technology, light-induced degradation apparent. It has limited or no PID effects. It's about 1% higher efficiency than non-PERC technology. Simpler production and great low light performance, which is very, very important for markets such as Nigeria. As you can see from our technology roadmap, that the power output is increasing year on year. So if you're looking at the heterojunction type technology, which is available now, our cell output is running at 25.8% efficiency. Our commercial version of this is ideal for large rooftops. That's going to go into commercial production end of the year, early into the new year. That's known as TOPCon, tunnel oxide passivation. That's running at 25% efficiency. And you compare that to normal mono PERC, you're running at 24% efficiency. Consequently, because cell outputs are increasing, we're also increasing as far as panel sizes are concerned and panel outputs. So our high Q7, 7N is running at currently 670 watts. When we release our TOPCon, we're going to be 695 to 700 watts. So it's going to be a very, very efficient high output panel. As far as roadmap is concerned, Canadian Solar have a long history. We hold a vast number of patents in photovoltaics, and we're working on the next generation of technologies. We have 617 research engineers based in our production facilities, and they're working on stuff like anti-salt mist module, super lightweight modules, building integrated PV, smart modules, multi-cut modules. So we're moving with the industry moving into next generation technologies. The main takeaways from 2020 are we have a very high output CS6R, which is designed predominantly for residential rooftops. We have our heterojunction, we have our N-type, and we have high pressure modules. We're also working on a long lifetime module where we hope to be able to release within the next year or so, a module that will warranty for 50 years. As far as research and development is concerned, mass production of our N-type TOPCon modules is going to start at the end of this year. Commercially launched N-type heterojunction was earlier this year, and we're the first company to deliver a 600 watt high power solar module based around a 210 millimeter cell. We have reliability through technology. We have a new frame design. We're optimizing framing to allow more pieces to be shipped in a standard sea shipping container, but we're also adding some additional rigidity bars and strengthening the profile to improve and maintain current wind and snow loads. We have lower hotspot risks. We have 22 cells per diode for our CS7M, electrical and infrared visual controls of cell leakage and current during production. And we're utilising Hetra ribbon, which I'll come on to in the next couple of slides. So as far as all of our reliability is concerned, this is predominantly through production cycles. So we've offered low damage laser scribing, electroluminescence testing, Hetra type ribbon, hotspot module, tin soldering, LID and LETID mitigation, diode runway tests, and static and dynamic mechanical load tests. We've moved all of our production from diamond wire and saws into laser scribing, okay, and laser cutting. And the advantage of doing this is you get a much cleaner cell surface area. So if you look at the bottom half of that picture, you can see a diamond wire saw, and the top half is a laser cut. The advantage without using diamond wire saws and moving into lasers are basically you're maintaining the cell integrity at the outside surface area, which reduces the risk for microcracks. Next slide, please. So if you look under electron microscope, you can see on the left-hand side, we've got a nice, smooth, non-destructive laser cut. On the right-hand side is conventional diamond wire cutting. On the right-hand side, where you have all the peaks and troughs, this can aid or contribute towards the phenomenon known as microcracks. It may cause structural damage. We're moving into Hetra-type ribbon and paving. Standard technology, you have a cylindrical bus bar joining the cells together, and normally the cell gap is approximately 2 millimeters. With Hetra-type ribbon, we're actually flat, tighter bend radius and less stress within the cell surface area when you go through the lamination process. So this is unique to Canadian Solar, and it allows us to actually close the intercell gap whilst maintaining insulation resistance on edge testing to 0.7 millimeters. Taking a look at the ribbon cable under a microscope, on the left-hand side you have a traditional cylinder or round ribbon cable. On the right-hand side you have the new Hetra-type ribbon, and obviously the flat section is for the bend radius from the front to the back side of the cell and allows for a nice clean solder joint. Looking under electroluminescence after lamination, on the left-hand side there you have traditional ribbon cables, and there you can see during the lamination process there's been a slight hairline crack contributed to the lamination process using the traditional ribbon cables. And this is basically because you're squashing a cylinder under immense pressure and heat onto a flat, weak cell structure. If you're looking at the Hetra-type ribbon, you can see there that the gap is nice and tight. And there again, there are no microcracks because we're utilising that fat ribbon cable, which is reducing cell stress. There's a picture just at the front side, and there you can see on the left-hand side the flat ribbon cable disappearing the cell onto the right underneath to allow a nice clean solder joint. All of our modules are IP68 rated. We pot all the junction boxes, all the diodes, okay, are all potted to allow IP68 water resistance, and we're moving away from lead solder into tin solder. It's much more environmentally friendly. All of our diodes go through multiple runway tests. So when we do batch testing, we put these diodes through 1,000 consecutive thermal runaway cycles, which gives us the confidence to be able to warranty all of our new products for 25 to 30 years. Canadian Solar are also unique in our ability to do advanced cell regeneration. So we're aware that there is a phenomenon in PV in silicon called light-induced degradation and light and elevated temperature-induced degradation. We conducted a study with the University of New South Wales, and we've been able to bring into effect patent and intellectual property an advanced cell regeneration process which limits this phenomenon within the Canadian Solar brand. We are typically less than 1%. The best of our competition are typically around 3% for LID and LETID. which ultimately means if you install a Canadian solar panel, you get better output for that life expectancy for that panel. Canadian solar basically start up from our material selection as far as our quality is concerned. We go through cell production processes, advanced regeneration, batch keeping, ongoing testing and performance control. So that's a complete life cycle within our production facilities to basically provide our customers with the confidence that Canadian Solar have longevity and world-class warranties. Next slide, please. Some of the tests we go through are standard with all our products. So all of our products are IEC certified. And during that IEC certification, there are a number of tests that we conduct multiple times on our panels. The IEC basically states that you only need to pass each one of these tests once. Canadian Solar runs each of these tests 2, 3, or 4 times in some cases to prove that we have a very, very robust product for the African market. So very quickly on our products. Next slide. We offer a complete range of monofacial modules. Starting on the left-hand side, we have our new heterojunction, or our high hero. Moving on to our CS3L, CS3N, going across to our 182mm cells and out to the right-hand side on 210. I'm not going to spend any time. I'm obviously conscious of people's time today. Gennex have a full range of our products, either in their warehouse or inbound. And I know they are moving upstream with the technology. They have a range of the HiQ6 and the HiQ7 modules within their portfolio. We also offer a range of bifacial modules. The bifacial modules are predominantly manufactured to order. Our bifacial modules will typically go into a ground mount application where the bifacial factor is more beneficial. If you have any large ground mount projects that would benefit from bifacial, then please speak to your colleagues at Gennex. They will contact ourselves and we will give them some relevant guidance and some pricing information. So in summary, Canadian Solar offers module street segment. We offer products for large-scale domestic, small domestic. We have a range of products for village environments through SolarWorks that I know Gennex are moving forward with. We have bifacial products, so a complete range of products. So we're not shoehorning a single product into multiple applications. We have applications that will fit multiple projects. Each of our modules belongs to a top tier in efficiency. We're one of the most bankable module suppliers by Bloomberg New Energy Finance, where we've been bankable consecutively for the last 4 years. We have a massive production capacity for 2022, mainly based around our new technology, using all the the low damage scribing, advanced cell regeneration, heterotype ribbons, and we have a core knowledge of bifacial and optimization and levelized cost of electricity. So the biggest challenge for professionals is to choose the right products and systems and install them in ways that ensure a long and safe operation. Our challenge as a technologies provider is to give you the best products and assist you in the realization of your PV systems. Know-how is the key to success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Curran. So I was just going to say, Mr. Moore, you have 2 minutes more. So once again, let's jam our hands together for him.
We can take some questions. And as I say, apologies once again, I couldn't be there in person. This is very difficult to do these type of presentations.
Okay, so
sitting in an airport.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you that. And just one question. Does anyone have a question for him?
Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, my question is simple. So far, we've actually heard about the monocrystalline panels. We've not heard about the poly. We know a few years back, it has always been poly. Okay, my name is Yusuf Issa. I'm CEO of Power Options Limited. Yes, what I'm saying is we've not heard about the poly panels. It has actually been talking about the monocrystalline. We know in those days before we had poly is more efficient in the northern region where you have a high temperature, and then the south, of course, the mono is predominantly good for. So with the latest technology where the so-called half-cut cells, does that override the poly? or is it just better both in the north and the southern region? That's my question.
Okay. Okay, that's a very good question. So historically, there's always been two different types of cell technologies. You've always had the polycrystalline and you've had the monocrystalline. This is really relates to basic cell structure and how far you refine the silicone during the manufacturing process. So traditionally, what you would get your high quality quartz sand. You would put that into a DC arc furnace. You would heat it up very hot. Okay, you would put a DC arc flash through it, which would cause the separation of the silicone and the oxygen, and would give you your basic raw materials. You would then take those raw materials and you go through something known as the Siemens process, which is where you're actually refining, that raw silicone to give you your raw materials as far as your photovoltaic cells are concerned. The result of which you would have a chunky polysilicone in its very or least refined state, and then you would have a granular monosilicone in its more pure or refined state. When you cast those into ingots, what you traditionally did in a poly ingot, you would basically put the chunky polysilicone into a crucible. Okay, you would heat it up, it would go molten, and then you would allow it to cool down, and it would solidify, and it would generate the random crystal orientations that you're very familiar with as far as poly is concerned. And if you look at most poly cells, you will see like a snowflake or a crystal formation. Within mono, because you have a more refined raw material, basically what you would do, you put it in a crucible, you would heat it up, it would go molten. You would then put a mono seed on the end of a high power magnet, and you would extrude the silicone or the cell structure, so it would form like a candle. Both would be very, very good. What you would end up doing, you would end up cutting them up very, very fine, squaring them up in the sakes of the mono, okay, and then you get your raw materials. So your raw silicone crystal formation or your raw cell color is actually like a very dark gray. It's like a gunmetal gray. The color process is actually a production process where we're putting in color to enable the correct areas of the light spectrum to be absorbed, and it's also an anti-reflective capabilities. Okay, so you get your two panels. So the blue process, as far as poly is concerned, is a manufacturing process. The black process, as far as mono is concerned, is also a manufacturing process. You have to be very, very careful that you're not over coloring the panel, because obviously what you don't want to do is put sunglasses or a sunscreen on a panel because you want it to absorb the correct areas of the light spectrum. Gentleman was absolutely correct. Historically, what you've ended up doing, using a blue panel because it absorbs less infrared heat in very hot climatic conditions, where a black panel, because of its nature of color, would absorb more infrared heat. Okay, so traditionally, always poly would be one side, mono would be the other side of the spectrum, depending on your operating or ambient operating temperatures in the world. As technology has advanced, we've moved into PERC technology. We've managed to find the production process to make the mono cells gather more light in low light conditions. So the mono cells actually wake up earlier in the morning and go to bed later at night time, thus generating more energy. The industry has actually moved all of its production capability into mono technology. Mono technology nowadays, the cell structure is generally a lot more efficient than poly. You've obviously got more cell coverage area. Now you're getting bigger and bigger ingots. And by the time you link that into the new technology as far as doping is concerned, and you're moving away from traditional P-type doping into N-type doping, you're allowing even more low light capabilities to gather, and then you can actually dope in a different way, which reduces light induced degradation, potential induced degradation, and gives you a more efficient panel. So overall, over the last 18 months, 2 years, the whole industry has moved away from traditional poly, moving more into the mono technology because of better low light performance, less likelihood of light induced degradation, better advanced regeneration, okay, and the ability to layer amorphous silicone top and bottom to give you your N-type technologies, which is giving you a better resilience, okay, and longer term better warranties. I hope that answers your question.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Moore. Appreciate that. Please let's jam hands together for Mr. Moore. So earlier today, we did something when we started, and we have a repeat of that now. One of the reasons for coming here is to network. So we're going to do that now, but you're not going to do it with someone next to you. You have to move to the next table, introduce yourself, exchange cards for the next 5 minutes. Let's do that now. Thank you.
I see trees of green. I see them blue for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the skies, also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful
Before you go to bed tonight, eat 1/2 teaspoon of this with water and electrify your metabolism back to teenage level.
So one thing I've observed in the renewable energy industry, especially in the last two presentations, is the fact that there's money in this industry. For example, when Trojan Battery was mentioning the revenue, he mentioned $500 million. When Canadian Solar was doing that, he said $5.3 billion revenue. So now we want to hear from SolarWorks. We want to hear from the representative of SolarWorks, who's going to be sharing with us within 10 minutes, please, on quality off-grid solar solutions for Africa. You know, like the man from the Standard Organization of Nigeria said, quality matters. One of the major challenges discussed in the last session was financing. In fact, I really pitied Mr. Okunuga because all the questions were directed at him. How do I assess this? You know, what kind of financing instruments should I use in order for me to be on renewable energy? So our next panelists are going to be sharing with us, first, how they were able to raise funding, the kind of partnership they have with development partners, and innovative approaches, you know, to financing of energy access and inclusion in Nigeria. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to please welcome the country director of Solar Sister, Mrs. Olasimbos Shojinri, as she comes to the stage. Please join me together for her. Okay, so followed by that, we have the representative of the Director General
for the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Sonny Omeza. Please, let's put our hands together for him rather. Then also, we have the head of Affluent Banking, Nigeria and West Africa, Mrs. Chima Patience Ebo. Let's put our hands together. Let's do it more. And also, we have the project manager for Jubilee Bros, Mr. Ahmed Al-Assadi.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so we've been given 30 minutes. Don't worry, I'm incentivized for us to finish on time. So, yeah, good. Okay, so this session, we're really going to be looking at partnerships and financing, especially innovative partnerships around financing energy access and inclusion. And I think for me, inclusion is very important because we work on ensuring that the energy transition we're working on is a just transition, is one that includes everyone and leaving no one behind. All right, so we'll jump right in and we'll start with introductions as well as telling us what the innovative partnerships that your institution is doing. So we'll start with you, Dr. Sani.
Good afternoon, everyone, organizers and participants. I'm from the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Director of Research and Advocacy. The Chamber, we are not a financing organization, but we create platforms for engagements. Engagements between, developers and marketers, users, and all of that. And at the Chamber also, we have a dedicated group called Power Group that oversees both anything concerning power. So also we create platforms where we are able to arrange trade missions out and in to meet people out there, and also foreign investors coming to the country also find our platforms very useful to engage with local partners on renewable energy issues. So generally, we also do our research to provide. We've been hearing from the first panel session, we heard a lot about education. So it talks about there's a vacuum for research, that a lot of research still needs to be done, that will help to bring up issues so that people will have better understanding and see the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chima. All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chima Ebo from Standard Chartered Bank. I will just talk a bit about the bank. Our bank is an international bank. We have our presence in Africa, Middle East, Asia, Europe, and also some bit of America. We've been around for over 160 years. We have our footprint in over 70 countries of the world. So for us, the way we see renewable energy is a bit different. We see it as one of our sustainability agenda in us, also working with the United Nations developmental goals, to ensure that we have, clean energy for everyone in the world, especially for emerging markets, is something that is very important for us. So last year we launched our Chapter 3 goal on sustainability, and one of the pillars is accelerating zero. And we have clear mandates, to provide 1 billion homes or individuals with renewable energy in Africa. We also have that we need to drive carbon-free transport in the Middle East. We facilitate the decarbonization of manufacturing industries in Asia, and then also continue to mobilize finance for people within the blue economy, which speaks about the impact of hydro and ocean and all of that. So for us, it's all about inclusion. Africa is something that is very important to the agenda of the bank. The bank seeks for opportunity to partner with people within the industry for us to provide 1 billion people with clean energy, and that's why we're here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chima. Before I go to you, Mr. Ahmed, I would like to invite our fourth panelist, Mr. Chikezie Igbulefu from Grooming Center, to please join us. Please, a round of applause for him as he comes. Okay, so while he takes his seat, Mr. Ahmed, I want to hear from you as well, a brief introduction, and what innovative partnerships have you had around financing in the sector?
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. So just a quick intro about the company. So Jubail Blows, we're an international company. We're in 10 countries: Lebanon, UAE, Nigeria, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Ghana, Qatar, Uganda, and South Africa. And basically, with the 29 branches we have, we're trying to develop solutions for the renewables. Our core business used to be the diesel. That's where we made most of our money off. But as we transition into renewables, we're seeking hybrid solution where, with our understanding of the diesel sector, we can have additions of energy storages, solar panels to hybridize, basically lower the usage of the diesel generators in several. We've also addressed the residential sector, and so where do we play in the financing part of it? We play as the EPC. So basically, we're capable of supplying the material that's needed. We can install it, run it, as well as maintain the system, basically. So thank you.
Great. All right, Mr. Chikezie, I think you are working in a sector after my heart, because the microfinance sector is, the closest to the grassroots. So we want to hear from you as well, a brief introduction, as well as what are the innovative financing solutions that your bank has?
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chikezie Igbulefu. I'm the head of Special Projects Grooming Center. Renewable energy is under the purview of Special Project. Grooming Center is an NGO microfinance institution that started about 16 years ago. Our mandate was basically to groom people out of poverty. We basically started with those women who you would consider as unbankable. These are market women who are doing petty businesses, and they are not able to get finance to, grow their businesses. So Grooming Center came to their aid. Now, as we moved on, we discovered that most of these women are gradually moving away from that bottom of the pyramid, and they're going higher. And we saw the need to actually partner with organizations like IFC some 7 years ago when they started the Light Up Africa program. And we started doing the micro solar, the 3 to 10 watt solar product, basically for these women, and we saw need for that. And as that project grew, we came up with the idea of coming up with our green energy product. The green energy product basically is a product targeted at individuals and businesses that are heavily dependent on power and who want to save cost or energy costs. So basically, the green energy gives any single obligor the opportunity to access up to 10 million naira to finance any renewable energy product as an individual or a company, and it is repayable over 24 months periods, and the interest rate is 27% at reducing balance. Basically, that's what we do. So far, we've impacted in the lives of over 50,000 households in Nigeria, and with over ₦1 billion worth of disbursement on solar products. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, my question is to you now, Mrs. Chima. It's about the difficulty around end users accessing credit facilities. So, to you, from your own perspective, what would you say would be the major barriers for end users, and why is it really this difficult, or why?
We get to hear this. People say that when they come to the bank, they are being asked to bring their grandmother and and all of that, you know. But the truth is, nobody's asking you for your grandmother's detail. But we all know that as a bank, our core objective is to take money from depositors and also to give out this money. And we must ensure that as we give out this money, we don't come back to depositors and tell them story. We continue to match. Also that when we give out this money, the monies are coming back promptly. The money are coming back accurately, not less. And then when we do all of this, we also have, return to all the stakeholders and all of that. So that's really the core business. And why we do this to ensure that monies that are given out do come back, So there are rules around assessing. But for me specifically, I would say for Nigeria, one of the biggest challenges, especially for small businesses, is record keeping. It's a big challenge. You come into the bank, you're being asked to produce your 3 years financials, and it's a really big deal. And I will use that example in one of our markets in Africa, which is Kenya. It's easier to finance in Kenya because their system, their structure, you see small businesses that very diversify. You see small businesses that have, proper record keeping and all of that. So when I have opportunity to speak with, people within the small business unit, and I say, please keep your record, do the right thing, separate yourself from the business, introduce governance, however small your business is, introduce governance into your business. Don't take children's school fees, for example, out of the business. Don't take you want to travel, you just, go to the account. Try to separate yourself from the business, and then create some sort of accountability. You can have a small board. You can have, people check what you're doing. And no matter the size of your company, just, run it properly. So I think one of the biggest challenge is finance. In assessing finance is really record. You're not able to assess properly. That gives really a negative impression, because you might be doing very well. If you don't have a record, there is nothing. You might be making profit, but your record is showing that you're not making profit. For me, I think that is very important. People lay a lot of emphasis on collateral, but I want to say that collateral is not the most important thing in business, because banks have also come to the point where they have secured product and unsecured product. So while you're building your business, there are little funds that you can access, that are unsecured. They might be a bit pricier than secured facility and all of that, But it's very important that record keeping, let your business, be able to say this is what you do and all of that. It just gives whoever is assessing that loan ability to take a decision and be able to recommend the best product for you. Thank you.
Thank you. You mentioned Kenya. One of the things that they have also is digital, the use of digital, the use of mobile money. And with that, the records are there. It's easier to really attract that. We're really hoping for that in Nigeria. So, Dr. Sonny, to you. I want to ask, what is the role of customer education, right? For like in the Chamber of Commerce, right? How do you ensure that your members or members of the public are aware about what the criteria are for accessing these finances are, or even just the opportunities out there? What do we think that this role is?
So at the Chamber, we have regular interactions with our members. So we create this platform for learning. And when new policies come up, we take it as a responsibility to educate our members. We also go out there and find out grants that are available and what conditions, and we also go further. Like she mentioned, a case where a business is not well structured, and because of that, they are losing the chances. So we actually try to create that capacity building opportunities for our members, so they are able to understand how they should structure their businesses so that they can qualify for these grants. Because we actually try to handhold them through the process to see that they get these grants, whether grants from CBN, BOI, or conventional banks. We do that much. And then when there is a new, for instance, when AFCFTA, for instance, came up, just making a point, we made sure we organize regular seminars, webinars, to educate our members to take advantage of such agreement. Because we know that without the knowledge, the awareness, you can't just do anything. But beyond the awareness too, like I said, we actually try as much as possible to be part of the operations. That's why the people coming to the country to partner with Nigerian companies can come to us, or they do come to us, and we're able to tell them that, look, we have companies that we know where they do their businesses. We can stand in for them because they are members of the chamber. And because trust is also an issue when they come into the country like such. You can't just do business over the internet and be safe. So we do all of that to help support our members to access these fundings. Of course, we have some partnership with some banks. We call them together at stakeholders forum, and they tell what they have and how our members can take part of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, to you now, Mr. Ahmed. You know, for Jubali, when you hear it, we think about fossil fuel generators. That's the first thing that comes to our mind. So what role are you playing in educating customers about the advantages of alternative energy or clean energy vis-a-vis fossil fuels? Like, do you have a role there?
Definitely. So when looking into renewables, we look at ROI. Mainly, we have a return on the investment. The customer on daily basis is spending diesel, spending on O&M, basically to repair the generator, also polluting. When we approach a customer, we basically say, okay, over a year, this is the amount of money you're spending on diesel, this is your capex value, and this is your operation and maintenance value. By introducing this renewable solution into it, you're going to have a return within a 4 or a 5 year period. And your equipments are actually designed in a way that they last way beyond this. For example, solar panels, minimum 10 years, they live to 25. Batteries, as the gentleman said over here, they reach up to 8 years in certain products. So basically, we play around the returns for the investment. And when we're doing product selection for a customer, or for the financing that some of the companies are doing, we don't only look at cost. We look at cost. We look at, for example, local or global support. We look at warranty. We look at spare parts for the repair. We look at flexibility of the product. How much can you integrate this product with other advantages? Once we've identified the right product for this market, it gives the best returns on it. And this is basically the major approach.
Thank you. And then finally to you, Mr. Chikeze. And I know in your introduction, you talked a little bit about the interest rates for these loans. I know that you specifically deal with mostly women, but at the last mile, what we call the last mile, or what some people call the bottom of the pyramid. So how do you have initiatives that actually support your end users to be able to access these facilities? Or are there initiatives out there that your end customers can tap into to make these facilities more affordable?
Thank you. I started by saying Grooming Center started actually with the market women. But over the years, over 16 years now, we've grown beyond just the market women. Our doors are now open to both men and women and SMEs to access funding for their businesses, or whatever the business is, even for renewable energy. what we do on our own part is for all our clients, there's something we call training, financial literacy training for all our clients. We do financial literacy training for the women, for the men, and before you are onboarded into becoming a client of Grooming Center, you must be trained for a period of about 2 weeks. Basically, my fellow panelist here talked about lack of record keeping, which is very much what you encounter when you want to give the SMEs loan. They don't keep records. That's just basic. So what we'll try to do on our own part is to train them on how to do this record keeping. We've gone ahead to develop what we call a smart app. This was done in conjunction with MasterCard some 3 years ago. But we've gone ahead to take that to roll it out to our clients. It is an app that gives a businessman or a woman the ability to monitor his or her business, know how much you're making, takes off that burden of keeping the record by just using the tablet. So we're rolling that out this year. So basically, these are one of the things we are doing for our clients. It is actually open to our financing. Access to finance is actually open to anybody who has the capacity to pay. What I mean by that is that anybody who is engaged in any economic activity can actually approach Grooming Center for any source of finance, whether it is household finance, whether it is for your business, or even for renewable energy. We have the green energy finance product, which we started 3 years ago. Like I said, gives any single obligor, individual or SME, the opportunity to access up to 10 million naira for 24 months. And the service charge is 27% per annum on reducing balance. So we are open to anybody who wants to. But before we give that facility out to individual, there's something we call, we have to do our due diligence to ensure that the person taking the loan has the capacity to repay. We are not asking for collateral because we find out that collateral is not a guarantee that the loan is going to be repaid. So what we basically do, we assess the business cash flow and we lend against cash flow. And once the cash flow can actually generate enough money to repay our loan, that we'll give that business a loan. So basically, these are the things we do.
Excellent. All right, so now we come to the audience. We would like to take a few questions from the audience for our panelists. And ushers, please help with the mic.
Yeah, good afternoon, all. First of all, use this opportunity to appreciate your Gennex technology for the opportunity given to us to be in this environment. My question goes is that on the issue of finance, I will appreciate if because as a young entrepreneurship, we go through a lot. For instance, when some of our people are talking here, they're saying, when we want to take a loan, they say, go and bring your property, this and that, and it has been a lot of challenges. I have a personal experience where someone actually gave me an opportunity to do a particular job, which require almost 40 to 50 million naira. And like 2 or 3 different banks I'm opportunity to go to, they are like, no, they can't do this. Go and bring your cash flow. I said, this is just a new business that's just coming up. Is there any way the financial institution could be of help? And between you and I, the opportunity just go. And the thing now comes to me that if we are going this way, for any economy that want to develop, I think the SME need to be encouraged. Because this challenge is what every one of us are facing every day. If you are not being given the opportunity of accessing to some facility, to the extent that you even have a procurement that's even verifiable and you don't have access to finance, I'm wondering how this economy is going to grow. Because if you look at the employer of labor in this part of the world, majorly is SME that take major. So my question is, I just want to appeal to all our financial institutions to find a way of helping us. it's not been easy at all. It's not been easy that when you are doing your own personal stuff, you head up say, okay, let me just pack up this thing, let me just go and take salary job, which is not, it's totally discouraged. So that's my question. Thank you.
I'm just going to answer your question. Yes, there are a lot of challenges assessing finance generally. The environment where we live in, very dynamic, and we must continue to bring very dynamic solutions to the problem. But the truth is that when you come into a bank, for example, the first thing we must realize that the banks are commercial banks. It's just, the basic when you come in, So when you have discussions with bank, it's also going to come from the angle of, being a commercial bank. That's one. I also know that government is also supporting. There are a lot of funds within the central bank, for example. There are a lot of funds for renewable energy. They have funds for young people, people in technology, and all of those things, where it's coming from the point of somehow non-profit, if I use that word, which is assessed through the banks. So if you want to assess fund in the bank, first you must be able to be clear on what is the objective. Are you coming to the bank to get money for startup? That's one question. And people will always tell you that if you're starting up a business, really, the bank will also want to see your commitment. That's why bank will ask you for your financial 2 to 3 years. They want to see what you have done with the funds that your own fund. What have you done? If you come into a bank and you want to assess, you're just starting business today and you need 40 million naira, you don't have the experience and all of that, it's going to be a difficult conversation. That is the truth. We're not going to mince words with you because the bank, you have not demonstrated capacity. You have not demonstrated understanding of the business. What are your client base? Who are the off-takers? Who are the people that are going to take up the product? If you have money, there's no one to take it, over trading. And so it's a whole lot of factor, It's not a one answer fit it all for everybody. And that's why, you have experienced relationship managers who you sit with, and then they take you through the process and try to understand what you're doing and all of that. But you as an individual, when you come into the bank to get money, record, I keep saying it, ability for you to demonstrate that this money will come back is very important, because we can't tell the owners of money that we're careless with their money. We can't tell the central bank that, we have given out depositors money, we're not able to bring it back. So from you, do you have that? How do you demonstrate that I have understanding of this business? This is what I want to do. What is your business plan? People come to the bank and you see that a lot of the discussion is wish list. There is no concrete plan. They don't understand the market. They don't know who are their final takers and all of that. So that is really it. You want to come to the bank, please be sure that you have that demonstration of capacity and you have full understanding of your business or your sector. Thank you.
For me, it's it's very difficult to assess a business that's just starting, and you want to collect that kind of money, because, like I said earlier, assessing your ability or your capacity to repay is dependent on your previous your history. That's history of your previous transaction. It's based on that any organization, any financial organization can actually say that, from what this person has done in the past, this person has the capacity to utilize this money and also pay back the money. So nobody would just give you money without actually doing some sort of assessment, even if the person is not taking collateral against that money, because basically the money does not belong to the financial institution. It's actually, if it is a deposit money bank, it belongs to the customers. For organizations like Grooming Center, we have funders which we would want to pay back. So we also have to do our work to ensure that giving you that money, even though we want to make it very easy for you to get the money, you have to have the capacity to pay back. So we do some sort of assessment before we give it. But having said that, our doors are open to any business that wants to, that has that depth of management. That is, the person has done business for quite some time, but you don't have that collateral. We are open to assess that business and grant that person the opportunity to get money.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? We have one there. Is there any question online, just to check? But we have a final there.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ayo. I'd like to go back to your initial position when you were asking for innovative partnership financing. That question was not properly answered by my own standard. And when he came on board, that's the gentleman in black, he discussed about the new renewable energy in solar systems. But what I observed in what his position is a kind of amortization. In Nigeria today, I want to look for a solution where I can tell households and say, this unit is 3.5 kVA capacity, it costs 500,000 naira. Then we begin to seek innovative partners that can finance such. So if we go to the level where we need this system at industrial level, for instance, a business that uses a 200 kVA generator, this solution simply will bring succor in the sense that the solar system, if properly deployed, can save or bring cost savings to such businesses in terms of the number of hours that the company can go off-grid, or the number of hours the company can reduce the use of privately generated power. So I wish he can break it down into these units to say company A that uses, say, 12 hours of a 200 kVA diesel generator, if you come to me for solar, this is what it will cost you as a business. Then the business can now approach the financier to say, I require assistance in this manner to get this solution and reduce my cost. But when you say you need to amortize, you need to find out the number of units of power, the number of savings I'm making on diesel generators, it becomes a little bit confusing. So in Nigeria, the way we are today, there are households that require 3.5 kVA solar systems, 5 kVA, 10 kVA. Can you break them down in terms of cost so that it becomes much more explicit? Thank you.
I believe your remarks are in place, actually. We do have such solution where the residential solution is broken down into 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt, 3 and 5. And each one has a certain amount of backup that follows. And within the brochures that we give out, or the brochures that we meet the customer with, it says that, okay, for a certain amount of load, this is how long this system will serve you. And these are examples of the load that you can apply. And by installing this system, you are going off-grid for so and so amounts of hours, where you're saving on both diesel and operation, as well as the capex life itself. Even within the technology itself, we've worked on lead carbon batteries. In batteries, for example, you have the lead acid, you have the lithium ion, and several other solutions. And we found a soft spot with the lead carbon batteries, where you have a longer lifespan of the battery, you can have a better DOD. What we present to the customer as, this is your warranty on the batteries, for example. If you can give a 3-year warranty and explain the returns to it, the customers or even the financiers, when you're going to them, most of the tenors of the financiers are built into the warranty period of the product. And this is where their collateral come from. They know that their asset or whatever they invested in is safe because it's still under warranty while they are getting their money back for their initial depositors. For the C&I sector, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So basically what we do, as the panelists before us said, we do logging, we do data analysis, and we customize solutions based on the customer needs. In terms of batteries, they come modular. For example, you have a 5 kilowatt lithium-ion battery, and you can, each one with its own battery management system, and you can add them depending on how much the customer does need as a closure of going off-grid, or what's his critical load that he needs. So what we do actually is we sit down with the customer, we understand them well, and then we devise a solution that fits them. Residential, as we stated earlier, yes, can be in certain section, but when you're going above the 10 kilowatt, it's very specific. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to use this opportunity to thank our panelists. I think they've all brought very unique perspectives to it. To add some other innovative partnerships that I'm aware of, because I work in the off-grid energy space, I know that there are quite a number of grants, investments, partnerships out there. I know currently the REA has the result-based financing, which is actually helping us reduce the cost of solar home systems. So these are just some of the partnerships that you can use to increase affordability of some of these products in the communities. But there are several out there that I think that education would really help us in the sector to get to know them and take advantage of them. So with that, we want to bring our session to an end. Thank you so much, panelists.
So I'm Felix, the CEO of SolarWorks. We are a German manufacturer of solar off-grid solutions, including solar home systems and also decentralized DC mini-grids. If you go to the next slide. Yeah, so I just wanted to, I think we are kind of aware of the general market, but there's 1.2 billion people worldwide without access to electricity, and 600 million of them in sub-Saharan Africa. And looking at Nigeria as one of the largest off-grid markets in Africa, we are having a total addressable market of 77 million people across Nigeria. And therefore, it's obviously one of the most important markets for us. Yeah, so what are we basically doing? I think it was previously been mentioned that solar home systems are one solution for the off-grid areas, and that's exactly what we do. We manufacture, and we are establishing our businesses across different countries in Africa, always on a B2B basis. So we're looking for distribution partners. Sometimes they refer them also as DESCO companies that actually do this step and go into the last mile, address people in rural areas and electrify them. And it's really a holistic solution. It's not only the solar system, but we also bring the appliances, which I introduce you later to. And up until today now, we have been accessing over 10 countries in sub-Saharan Africa, and our core markets currently are Zambia, Cameroon, France, and now hopefully in the near future, Nigeria, together with Gennex. So the uniqueness about the solution that we are offering here is that we come from a tradition of solar home system distribution in Tanzania for companies we previously worked for, and we have really focused to bring innovation into the sector by making it a very modular product. I think many of you are familiar with the kind of Lego principle, where you can literally just add capacity. And Lego bricks can be stacked on top of each other, and similar principle we're using also for our solar system. So what you can see here are blocks of lithium iron phosphate batteries, integrated charge controller, battery management system, remote monitoring if the distributors need it, and then also a pay-go interface, because the systems are typically repaid on monthly installments rather than on an outright payment. Yeah. So capacity can be grown in battery capacity. Solar panels can be connected according to the power needed. At least every system can connect up to 100 watts of solar. Yeah, so as I said, it makes little sense from our experience just to provide the solar system itself, but also to have a little bit of quality control over the appliances, especially if you think of you provide an end customer with an AC powered system, 3 kilowatt, whatever a typical household might need. The problem is that you have no control over, as a solar company, what appliances the customers are actually going to connect to. So you are expecting the customers really understanding the capacity of their systems, the peak load of their system. And I've seen that failing in multiple countries across Africa. So the lesson learned was really like bring the appliance together with the solar system. This way you're creating a very high level of satisfaction across your customer base. So we have specialized in sourcing and also producing high efficient, high quality DC appliances like fridges, TVs of all kinds of sizes, fans and lights, of course. And especially fridges, for instance, like a typical AC fridge would be around 700 to a kilowatt hour per day of consumption. And those fridges really brought it down to below 300 watt hours per day, which then, you know, diminishes the size of solar system you would need. Yeah, so as I said, the solutions are also as an optional feature remotely monitored, which is great for distributors in the last mile because, you know, it's very expensive, of course, to go to those remote villages in case of any issues or in case of customer education. So you can remotely see what the system is doing in the most remote areas. We are roaming into various networks across Nigeria with our global SIMs. And for managing end customers in you know, from a company perspective, we are also integrated with different software as a services like Pagey, Angaza, Solaris Off-Grid that are providing CRM platforms and are also connected to the Odyssey platform, which is very important for Nigeria because of certain subsidy scheme called the NEP, which I will address later on. Yeah, so just an overview of the countries we are currently working in. But as I said, mostly we are present in Zambia and in Cameroon, and Nigeria is one of our strongest focus at the moment. And up until today, we have electrified around 10,000 people. It's currently 2,000 more solar home systems on their way, and we have saved 1 megaton of CO2 so far. Yeah, so another thing I wanted to introduce you is something that we currently started to test. It's called a mesh grid, where we are taking decentralized solar home systems and larger solar systems in the kilowatt range and interconnect them within the village. So we have currently 2 test grids set up, one in Zambia, one in Cameroon, and in very remote areas, serving each 100 individuals. Yeah, and so why are we doing this? You're probably familiar with both, right? The solar home systems and AC mini grids, right? So solar home systems, we all know them, they're cost effective, they are great, but they're only serving one household and they have limited capacity for this household. So you really have a very limited solution, but a workable solution. It's relatively cost effective. But if you want more power, then solar home systems often, you know, reach their limits. And on the other hand, you have AC mini grids, which, you know, like you can't really finance them without significant subsidy. There's literally not a single mini grid I have seen worldwide that is cost effective without a subsidy. So we thought about how can we merge the best out of the two worlds, so the high tier level, tier 3 to tier 4 from a mini grid, and merge that with the cheap kind of capex from a solar home system. And that's what we call the mesh grid. So yeah, we have started then to decentralize basically the energy generation. You can see here that's the village that we have electrified in Zambia. So we already found existing solar home systems in those villages that we integrated into the network and then started power trading among the customers. And we also comprehended the existing solar home systems with our own solar systems. And you can roundabout say, like, to electrify a village of around 50 households, you would probably need around 7 kilowatts decentralized across the village and around 12 kilowatt hours of battery capacity. I think previously I've heard one of the panelists talking about lead carbon technology. We would also typically use lead carbon technology for the larger sites in the village, to bring power and to also, you know, have a very deep discharge capacity of the batteries, and the long lifetime of lead carbon is quite advantageous. For smaller installations, we typically use lithium iron phosphate batteries. Yeah, you can see, like, that's an image of the installation. That was the first one we did in Zambia. We have professionalized this quite a lot now in Cameroon, and we of course also aim to do a few grids in Nigeria in the near future. So the speciality is not only that we decentralize the capacity and the solar panel installations, but also everything runs on DC. Which is cheaper for us to produce. So because it's all about dropping the cost per individual to to be able to implement grids that nearly work without subsidy, or at least only with this very small portion of subsidy required here. And for this particular program, we are funded also by EEP Africa. Maybe various people know about this program. It's quite significant. They have programs across Africa. Yeah, you can see an overhead picture here of how this would look like. So as you can see, it's really a decentralized interconnection of systems. All the blue dots have solar systems of some sort in their homes, and the red dots are pure consumer to the network. And the metering devices that are installed in each house can seamlessly change the direction. So can either feed into the grid or take energy out from the grid, depending on their level of battery capacity. Yeah, just a few words about the cooperation of Gennex. Yeah, so we, as I said, we're working B2B, so we are dependent on local importing partners and distribution partners. So luckily with Gennex, we have a great partner here that can basically do both. So Gennex could do direct distribution via existing sales channels, and also we would sub-distribute from Gennex with our warehouse that we would be holding together to our distributors. And then if you go forward, one word about the subsidy that was previously already mentioned, which is very interesting, I think, is the NEP subsidy that exists in Nigeria. It's a big pot of money. $350 million have been provided by the World Bank, which is channeled via the Central Bank of Nigeria and managed by the RIA. And depending on the size of solar system that you are selling, being it a Pico system, which is below 10 watts or so, up to a tier 3 system, which is our sweet spot. It's a system of at least 50 watts to 199 watts of PV installed. You get a subsidy of around $300 from the World Bank, as I said, channeled via the CBN and to the distributor account, which is great because it takes away a significant part of the default risk of the end customers. So when I was previously working for Mobisol in East Africa, we have electrified 500,000 people with around about 150,000 solar home systems across Tanzania and Kenya. And we just learned that there is a certain amount of default rate. It really depends on the distributor. Somewhere between 10 to 20% is your default rate within 2 years. So this subsidy really allows you to compensate this, because the subsidy will technically cover 80 to 100% of the landed cost of the product. All right, yeah, and I think that's it. I'm free for any questions.
Thank you so much. Exactly 10 minutes.
I was preparing more for 20, so I had to talk a bit faster.
Thank you so much. I like it when people keep to time. So once again, let's put our hands together for Mr. Felix. Okay, now we are in the session for question and answer. So if you have any question from the first panel to this very moment that you want to ask, we are just giving a chance for 3 questions. You have to go straight to the point and ask a question. So if you want to ask by a show of hands, please. Any question? Okay, thank you so much. In light of the fact that there's no question, I'd like us to please put our hands together for ourselves. Now, the first reason is that you spent almost 5 hours in this room. And then the second one is that despite the fact that you are freezing, you are still here. So once again, jam your hands together for yourself. So I'd like to use the opportunity to invite Engineer Tuji Tayo to give closing remarks.
Thank you. We thank you all for your presence. I want to use this opportunity to talk about something that has been a concern for me for quite some time now. And that is, as a nation, we import virtually everything. Our friends from Trojan are here. They are telling us beautiful stories about Trojan batteries, Canadian solar works, and all of that. Yeah, we know we don't have capacity for that, but for God's sake, there are low-hanging fruits that we can actually do something about. Let's talk about solar. There are low-hanging fruits in the sector like racking systems. Talk about cables. We have cable manufacturers in Nigeria. A whole lot. You have the mounting accessories and the rest. These are simple, straightforward, well-developed, sectors that we can deliberately target to reduce our dependence on forex. And I think that is something we should all look very seriously at, both as practitioners as well as the financiers in the industry. So our banks, when somebody approaches you and say, look, I want to be producing battery racks, for instance, he's helping us to reduce forex dependence. So I would like you to honor such request as an example. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much, Engineer Tayo. In summary, you are saying, I beg, right? So we are begging you. The next will be the vote of thanks by Mr. Yemi Adewusi. But before we do that, I'd like you to know that just outside, there's an exhibition by Gennex Technologies. You find all the amazing products they have there. So do check it before you leave. And then most importantly, although it's supposed to be on number 7, but here is in number 15, there's lunch. So I'm happy to announce that to you. After the vote of thanks, there's lunch there, and have your fill. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It has been an interesting and thought-provoking session. And once again, we want to thank God for giving us a clement weather. And first, we want to appreciate our management, the management in Gennex. They've been so supportive. When we have ideas, they've, always supported us and encouraged us to see it to fruition. So, Mr. and Mrs. Ilo, Engineer Tuji, we thank you so much for the support you've given to the team so far. Please, a round of applause for management. When you conceive an idea without the resources to carry it through, your idea is just a dream. So they've been so encouraging in letting this happen. So we thank you. We want to thank our partners, Trojan, Joyce and Freddie, you're great guys. I hope you're enjoying Lagos. You mentioned you're enjoying Lagos, so we hope that you come again soon. They came all the way from the US, to attend this. So a round of applause to them too. Okay. So I want to thank our distributors and dealers. They are supporters, they are backbone. We thank you for your support so far. Okay, we'll continue to collaborate. We'll continue to listen to you, and we'll continue to give you the kind of products that the end users seek. We want to thank our panelists. You've done a great job in trying to help us distill the issues and bringing it out. So we appreciate you. Please clap for our panelists and the moderators too. And Olasumbo Shojuri, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. She was supposed to be part of the panelists, and immediately she was converted to the moderator. And the reason that was strategic. Solar Sister partly operates as charity. So I knew she wasn't going to be on the side of the financial institutions. So I wanted her to put them on the hot seat and try. And she did a great job. So thank you so much. So we thank every one of you, our invited guests, for honoring our invitation. We thank you. And of course, our online participants, I couldn't see you, but you can hear me. So we thank you so much too. So Gennex, we hope to do this next time again. That is if our management gives us the money anyway. So we hope to do this another time, and we're always willing to collaborate in innovative ways, and we're seeking to engage with all of us in innovative ways to advance, the development of the sector and the industry at large. So as Ayobami said, lunch is served, and I think what we'll do is we go this way. We're going to open this door. So we open this way, and we can take the buffet and come in through that way and sit down and have a nice time. Once again, thank you, everyone. See you again soon.